Hey devs, are your AI coding assistants not living up to the hype? You've got these powerful tools, but somehow you are still not seeing that massive productivity boost everyone talks about? Well, I've got something special for you today, 7 battle-tested tricks that transformed how I work with AI. And here's the best part, we will start with the basics and build up to the absolute game changers. Trust me, tricks 5, 6 and 7 alone will revolutionize how you work with AI. Let's dive in. Before we start, make sure to hit that like button if you want to see more content about practical AI usage for developers. Now let's jump into these 7 tricks that will boost your productivity. Tip number 1. Precision is your best friend. This tip may seem obvious, but it's the one that causes most AI tools to fail with coding tasks. We developers often treat AI tools like a magic wand that can convert our 2 sentences into a working solution. However, this isn't true. The real magic only begins when you write the best possible prompt. The solution you are trying to build doesn't exist in a vacuum. To get the best possible solution, you need to be as precise in your prompt as possible. Specify your starting point, describe exactly what you want to achieve, which technologies are you using, how does the existing surrounding code look, do you want the solution to be performant or maybe maintainable, or is security your priority? Imagine you are delegating the task to a colleague. Be precise in your instructions and you'll be greatly rewarded. So, key takeaway here is that taking an extra minute to write a detailed prompt saves hours of back and forth as a result. Okay, so the second tip is to let AI handle your Git documentation. Each and every day we do stuff in Git, and why not to automate how to work with it? Let's say you are using GitHub Copilot and you want to commit your changes and create a pull request. So here are the changes that we have, and here we have a nice Copilot icon near the commit message input. So if I now click it, it generates a smart commit message. It is about a swipe gesture support for player navigation. It's indeed correct. I love it. So now I navigate to GitHub and try to create a pull request with the changes that we pushed earlier. I have a nice Copilot Actions button and I want to indeed generate the summary, so I will now click on it. Wait a bit for compile to generate a summary, and in a matter of few seconds we get an extremely descriptive and detailed PR summary, which will tell the reviewers everything about what is done in this branch. And it generated not only the summary itself, it also tells how it was implemented with the links and references to the needed files. Furthermore, during the review you can chat with Copilot to generate the nice comments. Let's do it. So now I have a Copilot response. I can just copy it, paste it here, and it is ready. So it was just a matter of few seconds, but we have a detailed comment to submit here. And we also have the suggestions on what changes should be applied. Isn't it awesome? Just compare this with the efforts you usually do to achieve the same goal. I use it every day and I'm really happy with it. Let's move on to tip number 3, get straight to the code. Let's say we're using ChatGPT to generate a Node.js user registration endpoint. No matter what the prompt is, when we ask LLMs about the coding problem, we usually get some general text in the beginning of the response. Then it provides the code or implementation steps, and then it also adds the comment with its assumptions or concerns. And it takes some time to generate this, and the result is usually much larger than we actually need. In this case, you can see that the response took 20 seconds of waiting time and 900 tokens long. Now let's modify the prompt a bit. I'll copy the previous prompt, but this time I'll add respond with code only to its end. And the difference is dramatic, because it now only took 3 seconds instead of 20, 3 times less tokens, and moreover, it's much easier to use this response in my code without excessive information. As a result, by adding code only to the end of the prompt, we get a faster and a more concise answer. This works even better if you are using the LLM's API, because lower tokens count leads to lower costs. So, key takeaway here is save your time and tokens by getting straight to what you need. Okay, so tip number 4 is to be version specific. When the problem that you solve using AI relates to libraries usage, remember to always specify the library version. I wasted so much time on getting the code that just doesn't work because AI assistant assumed I use another version of a library. For example, Here I asked Claude Sonnet to show me how to create a protected routing in React Router, and it came up with a code that just didn't compile because of a bunch of errors. However, when I specified the exact React Router version, it came up with a different suggestion and even highlighted what is different in version 5. For example, it used a protected route instead of render, it uses redirect instead of navigate, and so on and so on. So when you are going to ask anything library specific, always specify the version you are using to not waste your time on wrong implementations. And let's move to the tip number 5, context is a king. Context is a key ingredient to any interaction with AI. Even if I craft ideal prompt but don't share the relevant context, the result will always be irrelevant. This is especially critical for engineering tasks. We mostly never work whole day on writing abstract functions or trivial system parts. Usually we work with the existing code and complex systems trying to add new functionality on top of it. Furthermore, we have functional and non-functional requirements which must be always met. This is why you should always share the existing code, functionality, requirements to your AI assistant to get the relevant suggestions. I'll demonstrate 2 tips how I do this each and every day so that you get my idea. First thing you can do relates to general-purpose LLMs like Claude, ChatGPT, Gemini, or DeepSeek. Each of them has a feature to start a new chat with a predefined context. For example, in Claude it's called projects. I usually create a new project when I start working on a new big piece of functionality. Here I store the requirements and the related code in the project instructions. Now each time I need assistance with something related to this feature, I just create a new chat in this project and all the context is already there. Just don't forget to keep this context up to date. The next feature I use is GitHub Copilot's chat context. When it launched, it became a real game changer for my coding experience. The similar functionality is present in Cursor, Cody, Tab9 and other IDE-based tools. AI assistants can try to identify the relevant context by themselves, but from my experience, it's always better if you do it on your own. So key takeaway here is the better you describe your context, the more relevant solution your AI assistant suggests. Quick question for you, what is your favorite AI stack for coding? Drop it in the comments below and let us know why you love it. I'll definitely read your answers to create more relevant and useful content for you. And the next tip is number 6, the power of clarifying questions. It's a really nice technique to make sure your prompt is really clear for your assistant. I use it each time when I don't know which details to specify in my instructions. Let's see it in practice. Let's say I want Claude to create REST API for the authentication system. I write the instructions where I specify the main goal and the tech stack of my web application. But when I have a feeling that the instruction is not detailed enough, I always end it with a phrase, "Do you have any questions?" And let's see what happens now. Instead of giving me the solution based on assumptions right away, it indeed asks me meaningful and important questions which can largely impact the solution. By asking your AI assistant if it has any clarifying questions, you can make sure that your instructions are clear enough and that you both are on the same page. And this, of course, in the end saves you a lot of time. Use it when you feel you are missing something important but it doesn't come to your mind right away. Key takeaway here is to let AI help you think through all aspects of the problem. And the last but not least, tip number 7 is break it down step-by-step approach. This tip is about handling large and complicated tasks. Here I'm using Claude Sonnet again. This time I wanted to create a dynamic form builder, and for me this task seems to be large enough to be split. This is why I asked Claude to split this solution in steps. Notice that I ask it to wait for my confirmation after each step before proceeding to the next one. So, as a first step, Claude created the code with a basic form builder. It looks nice, but I noticed that the dropdown is missing the options from which the user can choose. So now I can make a stop here and make Claude fix it until I am fully satisfied with the result. Now the issue is indeed fixed and I am okay to move to the next step. So I guess you got the point. You can ask your assistant to split the solution in several stages, and on each stage you can take your time to make adjustments until you are satisfied enough. So the key takeaway here is that complex problems become simple when broken down properly. And there you have it, 7 tricks that will transform how you work with AI. Tips 5, 6 and 7 are my personal favorites and absolute game changers. I use them pretty much every day. Use them regularly when you work with your AI assistant and you'll see the difference immediately. And if you learned something new today, smash that like button to help YouTube share more videos like this for you and to promote my video to a larger audience. Hit subscribe for more practical AI coding tips in my upcoming videos. Thanks for watching and happy coding!